Today is Tuesday, February 27th, and you're listening to the Beer Temple Podcast.
Remember this is what we wanted. Remember this is what we said. To never be heard or seen from again. Remember this is what we wanted. Remember this is what we said. To never be heard or seen from again.
Hello, and welcome to the Beer Temple Podcast. I'm your co-host, Mike Shalau of Is Was Brewing, and I'm here with your other co-host, Chris Quinn of the Beer Temple. Chris, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm alive.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm alive. I'm a little run down.
Samesies.
Yeah. But, I was doing some traveling. Now Margaret's traveling, so I'm watching the kids. That wears me down. Might be coming down with a cold. So we'll see. You're coming off a cold.
I got the itis. I finally, this far in.
The Rona.
I got the Rona for the first time last week.
Oh, first time.
Yeah.
Hey-o.
Yeah.
Look at
Yeah.
you.
I had a fever over 100 degrees for about 3 days.
I had the real deal COVID. I had it
Before it was cool to get.
Yeah, I had it pre-vaccine, baby.
So right now I have short haul COVID. We're seeing how if it will turn into long haul, but I think I'm doing all right.
Yeah,
But-
well, time will tell.
Yeah, time is the only way to tell.
I think it should be like a thanks Obama type thing. I think anytime anything wrong goes wrong in your life, and I'm talking about like the car in front of you waits too long and you don't get the red light. You know, you get the red light instead of getting through. Long haul.
Long haul.
It's long haul.
It's a long haul COVID.
It's the long haul COVID that did that.
I've been having long haul COVID long before I had COVID, with all the brain fog and inability to think straight that I've
Yeah.
had for about 35 years.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. Well, there you go. Now you can put a name to it.
right. Pre-COVID long haul COVID.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
What
That's
year were
my
you
excuse,
born?
at least. 1989.
COVID 89.
That's right. COVID 89.
Yeah. So, big, lot of stuff going on in the beer world this last week. I will say something, and you will answer if you think it's true or false.
Okay.
And then I'll tell you if you're right or wrong.
Great. I
All
love
right.
this
A
game.
lot of stuff going on in the world of beer this past week or so. All
True.
of it good.
False.
Yeah, that's right. That is false. It's not all good news. Is anyone surprised by that?
It's been a rough week for the beer world and my
Yeah.
my immune system.
Yeah. So I just read today, it was in Cranes. It wasn't in Cranes today, but I read today in Cranes that in the past 2 years, I think, was it 10% of all Illinois breweries have closed?
I know within the last 12 calendar months, it was something like around 30.
Right. So it said in less than 2 years, but I think this was in late November. So there's been some
There
biggies
been more, yeah.
since then.
Sure.
So, yeah, I think we're
Up and to the right, baby.
up and to the right. That's right. That's true. But hey, one man's down and to the left is another man's up and to the right.
Just gotta turn
Right?
turn your phone.
Gotta turn it around. You
Yeah.
just gotta short it.
Sure.
No, I learned that.
You're doing options plays now?
Yeah, I'm taking a course.
Oh yeah.
Correspondence.
What's it called?
It's called Up and to the Right.
Oh.
Yeah.
Who's the professor there? Is it E. Capron?
Well, yeah, it's
Prof. E. Captain.
it's my boy.
Capron
I'll just put it. I'll leave
Yeah,
it at
it's your
that. It's
boy.
my boy.
Is he out there?
Yeah, he's out there on the internet.
That's right.
He's out there on the internet, and he's teaching me how to profit. And one of it is by smashing that like button. So I should tell everyone out there, smash that like button for our podcast. I don't think podcasts have like buttons. We'll have to change
but
that.
smash it. Find some like button.
And
Smash it.
it. Smash the like button.
You can subscribe. Leave us a review.
Here's some good news that I have not confirmed yet. I'm going to confirm it right now.
Journalism.
Yeah. Because I don't want to say it if it's not true.
That would not be. Yeah, we would never do that on this show.
Yeah. So I think, from what I've heard, I should probably say something about it publicly if it's true.
Oh, God.
Is that, hey-oh, we won Best Beer Shop in the Chicago Reader Best Of.
Nice. Congratulations.
Yep.
I voted for Kodos.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, don't blame me.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So, at this point, I'm basically like the Tom Brady of this shit. I'm running out of fingers to put these rings on. So
Do they actually give you rings?
I make them.
Oh, yeah.
I make the ring.
Yeah. I did find a website where you can do that.
Ooh.
When I joked about getting a belt made for the Jeff Beardy champion, we can definitely get that done
I want a
for
golden,
like $70.
I want a golden sparkler made for our upcoming mild competition with Forest and Maine.
Mm-hmm.
We want to have the golden sparkler, and
Yeah.
it travels. I literally did look at how much it costs to get things dipped in bronze or gold. And I wanted to take a plastic sparkler, which for those out there who may not know, it's a small attachment that you can put onto a cask can pull, and it aerates the beer and gives it more foam, essentially. It pulls out the
unlike
condition of the beer.
It itself does not sparkle typically.
No, but it would.
It would.
If I could get one that would actually work, too, and you could, like, thread it on and have a golden sparkler, maybe I'll just take one and paint it gold.
Yeah, I have gold spray paint if you want it.
That doesn't. I'm worried about that being food safe.
Well, then you don't use it if you're going to paint it, dude. Like, what are you talking about?
I want something that's gold and ideally can be used, but just gold.
Do you think someone can, like, machine you a gold sparkler? How much do you think that would cost?
Oh, please. If someone's out there and can do it for next to nothing, please do it.
Or 3D print one, maybe?
Yes.
Is there, like, gold filament? I'll have to talk to my friend
Yes.
Joe. He has a 3D printer. So he can
Please.
make one.
Please. I want a
You have to
sparkler.
you have to buy the gold filament, though.
Done.
Sick.
Done.
This is going to be awesome.
Yeah, so we'll do a golden, if he can do a golden sparkler, like mini trophy, it only needs to be 3 or 4 inches high, 4 or 5 inches high, just like that.
Is that how big a sparkler is?
No, but it'll be like a little platform and a thing and then a sparkler on top of it, like a little tiny little mini trophy.
I can text him. I'll text him after the show.
Yeah, text him after the
Yeah,
show.
sorry. Got
So
distracted.
yeah, so we won that.
It's the short haul COVID in my brain.
Another thing I'm excited about. Let's talk about some good things, and let's introduce our guest as well. We have one guest,
Yeah, for sure. We should.
long time, not first time, long time, not first time.
Long time.
Yeah, long time.
Many time.
You may know him as the Crusherone, Master Crusherone.
Probably know him as
You
that.
probably know him as the Master Crusherone. You may know him, as I now know him, as Pat Santa-Fahey. I'd like to introduce Pat Santa-Fahey. What's up? How are you, Pat?
How's it going, guys? I'm not sure that one's ever going to catch on.
I've
beg to
mentioned
differ, I
it
think.
to other people, and they've said, that's good. And
That's
even if they
good.
had said it wasn't good,
Don't care.
I'm not going to stop using it.
We
It's
just
too
spent
good.
3 minutes talking about a golden sparkler. I think we're going to do whatever we want, Pat.
Yeah,
Honestly, I think the Golden Sparkler sounds dope as hell.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's
is.
too good.
It's pretty dope.
Santa-Fahey, I mean,
It's easy.
it's so
easy.
rolls off the tongue. How is life in Santa Fe?
It's
Mexico.
good. Yeah. You know, we've actually like stayed put for the first couple months of the year, and we're inching towards getting under construction for the brewery. So things are good.
Good. Give our best to Avery.
I will. She's right now driving across the country like you do.
Oh, I
As one
see.
does. I thought you just said we stayed put for the first 2 months of the country of the year, and then you said she's driving across the country.
It's almost the third
We
month.
haven't even gotten. She almost made 2 more days, and she wouldn't have made it.
It's a fair point. I've stayed put.
The royal way.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, I see you're drinking out of a dimple mug. Those are all the rage,
am.
I hear. We've got a mild competition. Speaking of dimple mugs, against Forest and Maine.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to them today. I'm going to tease out some stuff here to the listeners, the loyal listeners.
Nice.
First of all, we cannot if Ambler beats Chicago, I looked it up. We literally have a 397-1 advantage in terms of population. Okay?
That's. I feel like it should be bigger.
I mean, that's a lot. 400-1.
That is a lot.
We can't lose. It will be humiliating if we lose.
Yeah.
What are the terms of this competition?
It is March 8th, 9th, and 10th. Who can drink the most mild, preferably on cask? If you literally run out of mild on cask, then we'll make some other arrangements over the course of those 3 days. Collectively, not one single person, but which
Is there an
establishment
individual
can sell
winner?
them. Not for us. There are many, not one winner, but there are ways to individually win. I can get into that, actually.
Okay.
But we're going to have a scoreboard that we can both manipulate and update from our respective places so we can keep tabs on how the competition's going. And then I came up with this just today. You can look at it. It's a Dimple mug. It's a Dimple mug punch card.
Yeah,
And this is how you can win individually. Why don't you read the terms, as was just being asked what the terms are. This is what it says. Can you read it?
Yeah. Be it known to all and sundry that upon the timely competition, a completion of all requirements and precursors, and there's a line with an X.
For signature, yeah.
Yeah. Is thereby appointed a member of the Society of the Mild Masters and is enlightened to all the honors and benefits occurring thereto, including but not limited to a discount of not less than 50% on all mild drafts for the entirety of
2024.
MMXXIV.
Yes, entitled to. I hope it doesn't say that. There you go. And it's entitled to all the honors and benefits
What did I say?
occurring thereto. You said something different.
Oh,
It's okay.
it's a short haul.
So, yeah, exactly. So that's what you can win. You can win half price mild for the rest of the year.
That is insane. I am so disappointed you didn't do this while I lived in Chicago.
Well,
Right.
Maybe you got to come back.
I hadn't
Maybe.
I hadn't thought about it. I hadn't thought of it yet. I did have to tiptoe around Forest and Maine a little bit to see if I was being a little bit too goofy for them, but they're down for the
They
scoreboard.
seem like they're down for it.
So I'm like, all right, then let's go.
Like cool guys.
Let's do it. They were also down for the Golden Sparkler. So
Did they even know about the Golden Sparkler?
I mentioned it.
Oh, okay.
And they said a Golden Sparkler would be amazing.
Honestly, I think that's the coolest part.
Yeah, winning a Golden Sparkler. But yeah, you come, you get your card punched. If you rip 10 Dimple mugs
That's a lot.
in 3 days.
3 days, sure.
3 days.
Yeah.
Mild is like 3% alcohol.
So you could do it in one.
I think you could. You better be there for a sesh.
Yeah. For a full set.
Yeah. Sick long
And it's
sesh.
the OG session beer, so you know.
Exactly. I mean, you'd be crushing those things, Pat.
It is one of the it ranks high in the pantheon of mad crushers.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely does. Who's in
Coming from a master.
That's right. Who do you think is the odds-on favorite to drink the most mild?
Of the Beer Temple.
Individual.
Oh, I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know. I mean, they've been doing it for years.
Yeah,
years. They have a whole
March
thing
mildness.
going on, a whole month-long thing.
Steve Hamburg. Steve
Yeah.
Hamburg.
Right. So I got to get the
It's a
word.
lifetime achievement award.
I got to get the word out there. I could see Nate Nelson ripping
yeah.
some Dimple mugs of. I mean, I've seen him take down.
Can you pour him into a boot?
I've seen him take
A boot of celebration to the dome.
I've seen him do a. I've seen him do a boot of Cask Mild. I've seen him dome a boot of hand pull Cask Mild. I've seen him do it.
I remember watching Ryan pull that and thinking it
Yeah.
was the funniest thing I'd ever seen.
It was.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
And I mean, if someone says, "Can I get a boot of mild?" Who are you to say no? It's.
How many punches do you get for a boot?
Oh, I'd have to see. I mean, that would
Probably
be. Well, no, that'd be
Three,
four.
four.
I think it's
It's a big.
It's 2 liters, right? So 2 liters.
I don't remember
be,
how big the one you guys have is, but it's big.
I think it's a 2-liter boot, and yeah, so a 2-liter boot would be 4 punches.
I think I remember.
So thinking about that, you just do a boot a day.
Yeah, one boot a day.
You don't even have to finish the third one.
It's just a boot a day. What's the big deal?
For less than 1 boot a day.
Yeah, you can support these
Yeah.
kids. I think I remember at the Iswas launch party, Nate Nelson just happened to be here drinking a boot of Celebration Ale.
Yeah, that one didn't turn out quite as well. We won't go there for his sake. We don't have to go into that.
Last time I saw him, it looked like he was having a great time
yes.
in the bathroom.
Yeah, then he was
Yep.
yeah. He was
It's his
getting
business.
bottles of I think Tilkin and
Yep.
popping that for people but anyway, yeah, I'm excited about our mild masters society. So that's pretty cool. What's it called? Society of Mild Masters. You know, you can be part of a brothership, sisterhood, and brotherhood.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Family.
it's a family affair.
Yeah.
As long as you're 21 or over.
That's correct.
Yeah. So that's good. That's coming up in a couple weeks. That'll be a good time. But yeah. So have either of you had any beers that you've enjoyed lately?
Enjoying the beer in my glass.
Oh yeah, what
gotta
is that?
say.
What is that beer that you're simping on that dimp?
It's bussin'. So
No cap.
Yeah.
We're trying to appeal to a younger demographic.
Yep.
I'm not sure it's going to work, but it's worth a shot.
Bunch of people who don't drink.
We had a friend from Austin swing through town, and he dropped off some beer from ABGB,
Oh, nice.
Austin Beer Garden Brewing. For those that know, you know. If you don't know, they're hands down one of the best lager breweries in the country. I feel like Austin is super spoiled for lager, just between ABGB and Live Oak. But this is their Velvet Revolution Czech Pils. It's beautiful beer. It is like a super crusher. So,
Ooh, which one? And which one is that? I'm sorry.
it's called Velvet Revolution. It's their Czech Pils.
Czech Pills.
But like everything they make is phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
Excuse me. All right. How about you? Have you had anything that you've enjoyed?
I actually haven't had a beer in about a week because I've been sick.
Oh.
But I'm drinking this Sierra Nevada Field Trip non-alcoholic.
Oh, look at
IPA.
you.
Pretty
How is
good.
it? Is it good?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's pretty
Still a
tame.
little congested,
Yeah.
so I can't really taste too much.
Yeah. Oh wait, I haven't had that. I've had their hop water. Is what I've had.
I'm not a huge fan of hop waters in general.
I think I like hop waters more than NA.
And
I would lean that way too.
Yeah.
I think I just like non-hopped sparkling waters more than hop waters, though.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
But I do think there's something to be said about drinking out of a can that looks like it belongs in a bar versus it looks like a LaCroix or something like that.
Sure.
So that's usually, I think I only drink hop water at bars.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So,
What about you? Have you had any beers you like recently?
have I had any beers recently that
Any
I've
milds or
enjoyed?
anything?
I had a Forest and Maine bitter on cask in Philadelphia this past weekend.
That sounds pretty good.
That was very good. Yeah, at the Standard Tap. So that was good.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's what I've had. And some good food too. But yeah, the beer I would say I was there when Pliny the Younger was out at Monk's, but
And you got the bitter.
well, I didn't go to Monk's. I heard that there might be lines, and
Gotcha.
I'm not trying to do that.
No.
So
Too cool.
I'm too cool for that.
Yeah.
I
You're a
mean,
meeting
obviously
house
they
guy.
would have seen me and just parted like the Red Sea.
Taking you in the back door for your
Take me in,
birthday.
take me in the back door because they know I will rage if that doesn't happen.
That's right. Real
Yeah.
diva.
Yeah. That's kind of what I'm known for,
Yep.
especially in towns where nobody knows me.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it works out well. Got to play the part. Yeah, so that's the beer that I have had. And one that I'm looking forward to is another Forest in Maine because we're getting in the casks that I drove out to Forest in Maine. They're coming in tomorrow, but we're letting them sit for a week and then.
Wait, you actually drove the casks like themselves, like that?
Yes.
The vessels?
The 3 empty casks. I drove to Ambler, Pennsylvania when I was there over the holiday and dropped them off. And they have been filled with mild and sent back.
Hell yeah.
And they're coming tomorrow.
Nice.
So for this event.
Very
So we have a cask a day that we're trying to rip through. We'll see. That's asking quite a bit.
How many dimple mugs is that?
It's a lot. Probably way more than we have. I think we own 8. So I bought them. I bought them as like when we were filling up on other glassware, re-upping. I saw that there were these dimple mugs, and I was like, just throw a case of them in there. And it was, or maybe 2.
8?
It might have been 4, or it might have been 6, and we have 12. I don't know. We don't have many. Is
Sure.
what I would say.
Are they pins or firkins?
They're firkins. Yeah,
Okay.
they're full size casks. What are those? Like 13,
10-4, I think.
10-4,
Or 10-8. I
10-8,
think a pin's
10-8.
5-4.
This guy would have done a good job on Jet Beard D.
Yeah, Jet Beardy. He'd be like the Ken. What's his face?
Jennings.
Ken Jennings. Yeah. When you come in, you'll have to be on Jet Beardy.
Oh, I can't wait.
Tournament of Crusher Roans. Yeah, so we'll do that.
Yep.
And see how you fare. So let's. Do you want to get into some of the news, or do you want to go right to a letter? I say
Let's do a letter.
You want to do a letter to
Yeah,
start?
let's do a letter.
I didn't think you were going to go there.
The
Okay.
news is sad.
So this is a sad letter.
You didn't tell me that.
Yeah, it's a
It's working with improper
Beer
information.
Temple Pod. When my dog died
Oh,
yesterday.
jeez.
No, I'm kidding. That's not what it says.
We killed that guy's dog?
Yeah, we killed it. Remember that time you were in a rush to get here? You felt something thump under your wheel,
I haven't had a car for...
and then you peeled out.
I haven't had a car for 70-something days now.
You still don't have your effing car?
No, they got
That's
all
insane.
They got all the parts, but they forgot to order some sort of bracket that holds the DPF on. And so I was supposed
Say
to have
no
it back
more.
last.
Say
yeah,
no more.
it's
I don't
been,
even want to hear about it.
It's been 70-something days, and now I'm starting to get actually really mad. Like,
I would have been
and actually, it's
angry
been
for 7 days.
85 of the last 95 days I haven't had my car.
That's messed up.
Yeah.
Well,
I think
we
that's a
get
short-haul code,
letters.
I
We've been doing a lot of handwritten letters, handmade letters, I should say,
right.
lately. Some pretty amazing ones, but we also field plenty of electronic letters,
That's
those
true.
that are sent via email to insiders@craftbeertemple.com. If you want to send a handwritten, a physical letter, you can send it here as well. The address is in our show notes. And but this gentleman, Joshua, sent us this. We were talking with Pete from Middlebrow and Keith Lemke of Siebel about the kids these days. How awesome they are, I think, is what we're talking about. And guess what? Someone, Joshua, sent us an electronic letter. Subject, thoughts from a Gen Z listener. We were talking all about Gen Z. Wow. So strap in. It's a pretty long one. I haven't read it yet, and I haven't edited it. So here you go.
All right.
Beer Temple Pod. Hey, my name is Joshua. I'm 25. I've been listening to the show for a little over a year now. I'm a home brewer. I'm a beer lover. Great
So
start.
this guy's actually 50.
Right. Yeah. My name is Roger Drescher. Yeah. Okay. Me and my pal Stevie Hamburg, we're over at Randy Mosher's house, another friend of ours.
Being young guys.
Yeah. Okay. I found this conversation on the drinking habits of Gen Z to be really interesting. It's pretty vital to the future of craft beer, and I'm emailing to give you my thoughts as well, a young-ish person. Essentially, I can pinpoint 3 major problems for the future of craft beer from the perspective of younger drinkers. See, I told you it was not going to be a happy letter. 3
This could be
problems.
valuable, though.
Yes,
It's good
valuable.
information, though.
1, it's not cool. I think it is, but others don't. The marketing and ethos of craft beer is inextricably tied to the cultural and aesthetic tastes of older drinkers, particularly with millennials and Gen X. It's to the point where some younger people would find going to a brewery to be almost cringy. Ooh, that's a good Gen Z word right there. My kids use that one. Cringy. My daughter told me just today that her teacher is cringy.
Oh, her teacher. I thought you were...
Yeah. I think the future of craft alcohol for younger generations, parentheses, not those who are grabbing seltzers, etc., at the moment skews towards wine, particularly natural wine, because it's aesthetically tapped into the world, into other trends that Gen Z folk are into. It's organic, it's simultaneously international and small batch produced. It pairs well with food. There's a notion that beer does not. It's not implicitly masculine, parentheses, bro culture seriously keeps people away from craft. It's also perceived to be healthier, more on that later. All in all, craft beer could simply be more in touch. It can get on TikTok. I think American breweries can adopt a more global approach to beer making while maintaining their locality. It can be more diverse. I think that's a very good point, by the way. 1, tried to get on TikTok, but years ago, but too much effing work, man. Okay. It's just like, I don't know. My booty shaking ain't what it used to be.
Don't sell yourself short, Chris.
Oh, okay. Thanks. Okay, 2. Beer, as a concept, is associated heavily with bar culture, and craft beer is heavily associated with its point of production. For a generation that not only drinks less but goes out less as well, it's an issue. When you have previously talked about the importance of breweries expanding their programming, I believe almost nothing could be more crucial. And it shouldn't be lazy programming, less trivia. Make breweries spaces of genuine, interesting, one-of-a-kind events and activities. Yeah, okay. So I just want to repeat that one real quick. Beer as a concept is associated heavily with bar culture, and craft beer is heavily associated with its point of production. All right. Okay. I think I kind of get that. Gen Z feel as though I want to go back to that one when we're done. I think I want to go back to all 3 of these. Point 3. Gen Z feel as though they have lived in constant precarity growing up through the 2008 financial crisis, cultural wars, COVID. This has led to an obsession with both physical and mental health. While I don't think that it's as openly referred to, alcohol consumption is directly linked to this conversation about mental health. Not only are we listening to doctors who are telling us these terrible effects alcohol has on our bodies, but in the search for more control over our inner lives, alcohol has become something people want to keep in check. But I think beer can be made to be perceived as healthy. Or at least wholesome. I like that. It just has to move away from IPA binge drinker bro vibes. As a parallel, there's a mild card that I don't want you to see, Joshua. It's not broy. As a parallel, I want to bring up that good bread, artisanal bakeries, etc., has almost never been in a better place, I think. This comes after waves of carb health scares, the rise of gluten-free products, etc., through the 2010s. It's because they were able to convince the public that good bread is healthy for them, healthy for the community, and delicious. Why can't breweries do that with lower ABV beers and opening up about proper drinking etiquette, mental health guidelines? I know that may sound crazy, but if breweries were open, honest, and supportive of how to healthily enjoy craft beer as a lifestyle choice, not as a fun night out, people's minds would change for the long run. I think y'all generally have the right idea, though. The 25% will always still exist, but I think the makeup of that 25% will change out of necessity. The 25% of the future will be a more diverse bunch, both in who they are and in their reasons for drinking craft beer. Hope any of this was helpful. Gen Z are largely still priced out of craft. Wow, that's sad to hear. I can only afford to get to a brewery every few weeks. Hopefully that changes soon. It'll be interesting to see what works. Thanks for the great pod every week. Y'all are my favorite geezers. Kidding.
Hey.
No, he's not. Best, Joshua. Well, that's in the running for letter of the year.
No cap.
That was an excellent letter. Thank you very much, Joshua.
Yeah, that was very thoughtful.
Please let us know. I mean, I'm talking top tier, 3-tier merch. What do you want? Spare no expense. Spare no expense in what you want. You want a Yeti cooler, 3-tier Yeti cooler?
Uh-huh.
Go for it, man.
You've
earned it, Joshua.
You want a Patagonia zip up?
Oh, yeah. A vest?
Yeah. You got it.
Got it.
What do Gen Z wear?
Do
you want a Supreme 3-tier crossover piece of merch?
Or like a limited edition, like Nikes.
Like a Travis Scott.
Yes.
Nike.
3-tier Travis Scott.
Got their own silhouettes.
Yes.
Is Travis Scott, did he get canceled? Did any people die at his show?
I don't know.
Never mind. Not
I
Travis
barely
Scott.
know who Travis Scott is. Jill Scott.
Jill Scott,
We've
yeah.
got
Gil Scott Heron.
Gil Scott Heron.
We need to go there.
Okay, so Jill Scott, Nikes. Man, I have to say, I really, really agree with, I think, every single thing that he said.
Yeah.
And, I couldn't agree more. It's all things that I've thought about. It looks like, it's not cool. The spaces aren't cool. The culture isn't cool. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
2, heavy drinking, bar culture, and stuff like that. Number 2 to me was tap rooms suck and are lame.
Mm-hmm.
And they mostly are.
Mm-hmm.
Although Scratch is a finalist for James Beer Award Best Bar, which is pretty awesome.
Cool.
It's amazing. If you've ever been there, I think it's bananas that it is on the finalists. It's crazy.
I think the thing there though is that like because there are so many breweries in the country now, and so many of them are kind of like you've been to one, you've been to them all.
Yeah.
If you have a place like a Scratch, like it stands out. It's like, oh my God, this is a really unique experience. So I guess finding ways to make your experience more unique is I don't know. It's definitely something that we are thinking about as we're designing the space for Keeping Together.
Yeah. And then 3 was healthy. And I think that's another one that's getting that beer is way, way behind on. And a person that I've thought articulated well or the the strategy well is, well, other than Joshua, I thought he did it really well, was Keith Lemke saying, like, these are cereal grains. There's something you can play with there, that these are, like, wholesome grains that are, as far as alcohol goes, probably more nutritious and wholesome than a High Noon, which is, like, flavor additives and literal sugar.
Well, that gets really tough because you cannot legally imply any sort of health benefit from alcohol.
Right.
Like, you're not allowed to.
Sure.
So you have to be very careful with the line of wholesome versus healthy and how you present that.
Sure.
You can say a lot of stuff, like you can say facts about it. Like I would say something like Iswas beers have no residual sugar, so then they're lower in caloric. But you can't say like, and that's good for you.
Right.
So, but no alcohol can do that. So like a lot of this is about the perception of them, right, and the way that they look and feel, right? Like White Claw feels lighter. Than beer, so people perceive it as being healthier.
Can
as a slimmer can. That definitely has something to do with it.
100%.
And then natural wine is natural, like it's in the name,
Right.
So people assume that if it's biodynamic and organic, and it has to be better for you.
Yeah,
it's not necessarily the case, but
yep, I do think
the perception of it.
Yeah, I do think that. Yeah, a lot of that craft beer stuff, and a lot of it, man. A lot of it, the breweries played willingly right into. I think they're bringing everything to own premise. Understandably, all this stuff I can say understandably as well.
Yeah, I mean,
and
own premise is necessary for the survival of a lot of breweries. So
I would say, yeah, certainly now it is.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But if all you're gonna do is get the brewery starter pack, make the brewery starter pack of beers, and then open your doors and say you're welcome, come on in. Like we've been talking about that for us geezers have been talking about that not being a winning formula.
No.
And it doesn't have to be anything crazy, but you have to have an environment that may not look exactly the way that all the other tap rooms look, and then also focusing more on the hospitality of it and the programming of it.
Yep.
Have something there that people want to do other than just sit and drink beers.
I mean, I will say, sitting and drinking beers is better than most programming. Sitting at a bar with other people, being social, I think is good programming in a way. But
we think that.
We
but
think
clearly the next generation doesn't see the value in it the same way we do.
Well, I don't. I think that culture is going away. I
Totally.
think pub culture like that.
Yeah.
The cool kind, is, if you ask me, is going away. Everyone, is on their phones. Everyone's looking at screens, and then people have, trivia night is fine, and that's engaging and fun and stuff like that. But it's like, how much of that stuff can you do? And I'll talk about stuff that people have come to and enjoyed here. Stuff like make a Valentine thing. We did something with Half Acre that they put on and people enjoyed it and stuff like that. But like, how much of that do you really want to fucking do?
It's exhausting.
I mean, as a participant and as someone setting it up.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, come on, man.
Right. And that's his point of having unique programming all the time is a good idea, but it's also really hard to keep up and have, there's only so many good ideas that will actually draw people, and there's only so much manpower and hours you have to actually put together something like that.
Well,
So,
if you want to have
if
you want to have consistent good programming, that's like a full-time position.
Yeah, totally.
So,
oh my gosh. Yeah, I think it's
tough.
And I think it's a maybe diminishing return. If everyone's doing it, it's like...
That's true, too.
Because I think what Joshua is saying, he says, it shouldn't be lazy programming. Make brewery spaces. Make them spaces of genuine, interesting, one-of-a-kind events and activities. Now, events and activities, how about just spaces of genuine, interesting, one-of-a-kind environments or something like that? I mean, I think going to a bar that is, full is cool. I mean, that's the other thing. I mean, once you can get to like 20% capacity, I mean, it's kind of like a game changer, I think. And like when we right after or last week, or was it? No, it was 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago. I guess it doesn't really matter how long ago it was.
Somewhere between 2 and...
On my birthday.
Yeah.
We went to Delilah's after the beer fest, right? Mm-hmm. We got there what time? 11:30, 12, something like that?
Yeah, 11:30.
Line out the door. There were some reasons for that.
Yeah.
Maybe on a normal night there wouldn't have been. It was packed.
And a lot of young people.
Exactly. Young people. We were certainly not the only people our age by any means. We weren't the oldest people there. But I would say we were in the upper half for sure. Maybe upper third.
For sure.
Of in the age range of people there. And people were just having a good time because why? Delilah's is awesome.
Yeah.
Were they drinking like deep into the whiskey library? No. They didn't need to be. The place is cool.
Great. Yeah.
Right.
You don't have to do that to have a great time.
Because it's a place of genuine interest. It's a genuine, interesting, and one-of-a-kind place.
And they're a place that does programming all the time.
Well, they do music programming and
right.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's there's always something going on, something happening. He does a lot of this stuff.
Yeah. He does old school programming where he's going to have the Maker's Mark people coming in, giving people pours. He's going to have people from Kovalin. He's going to have people from this place in. He's going to have
But
that in.
not a lot of bars really do that.
No, they don't.
So that's something.
Yeah.
It's
but he doesn't
novel
do
again.
trivia.
Yeah.
He doesn't do trivia.
No.
He doesn't do anything like that.
No. But I've gone there on nights because of who's DJing. Mostly because it was Mike was DJing. But I was like,
Oh, okay.
I've got stopped in there a couple of times. Be like, oh, Mike's DJing. I'll stop in and
Yeah.
have a beer and a whiskey.
Right.
Listen to him talk to me about like the popes or something.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think maybe I'm different, but I think actual bar culture is cool. I like it. I
Right.
like different countries, but bar. I mean, I'm going with Mike Siegel to London just to experience the British pub culture because I like it. I think it's cool.
This is also something I'm interested to see is that as Gen Z gets older, like, will they find something more endearing about the same thing that we like about bar culture? Or because we view it as like they spend so much time on the internet and connecting that way that they don't go out and connect in person. I feel like at a certain point you have to connect with people in person, right? And maybe they don't go to bars, but they're gonna have to find. There aren't like other third
Well, you
spaces.
hear that they're
anymore.
like desperate to connect in IRL
Sure.
with people. They hate online dating. They want like
everyone hates online dating.
I've never online dated, and to
the
me,
worst.
it sounds like the greatest thing ever. Because I had to
No.
go to like
No.
bars and meat markets, and I didn't meet
No.
my wife there, but like everyone was doing it. Like,
Yeah, but you got to look at like a if you find someone online who has taken every swipe they've ever made and said I went left and right on this, and then the amount that like actually connected, and then how many people they actually talked to, and it's insanely low.
It sounds exhausting.
It's depressing. It's the worst.
Okay.
And I met my fiance on an online dating app, but
Right.
it's a terrible experience.
okay. So anyway, sounds great, but.
Yeah.
I mean, so then, so I do think there are places like that, and I do think alcohol is a social lubricant, which is something that is unique to it when enjoyed, consumed, whatever you want to say, responsibly.
Yeah.
I think it you got to be careful because it's addicting. Like
Sure.
you have to be careful. Would I weigh less if I didn't drink beer? 100%. I would weigh less if I didn't drink beer.
Yeah.
But that said, I think there's a lot of like some of the most like fulfilling, like meaningful times have been associated with beer. Like some of these trips that I've made and friends that I've made and people I've hung out with, and after these shows, I mean, at the Core Prosperity Sphere,
Yeah.
I mean, people loved doing that and hanging out after. And you just don't get that on a, on a chat.
Nootropic. No, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
So-
Zoom calling into the podcast, it's just not the same.
This
It
also,
isn't. I mean, it's okay, but
It
it's not
isn't
the
the same.
same. It's not the same.
I'm happy to be able to still do it, but like to your point, I remember a lot of late nights at the Co-Prosperity Sphere, and it was just like a lot of fun,
Yeah.
Yeah.
a lot of good times.
This makes me think about, they're not drinking alcohol as much. Are they just not consuming mind-changing substances in social settings at all? Like,
No, I think
Are
they're
they,
getting
like-
messed up on weed and
Is that the same
pills,
thing, though?
And I don't. I mean, I you can get pretty hammered on it, but I don't. It doesn't make me social.
no, me either.
I kind of like suck into my own head.
Absolutely, I can't be high in public,
Yeah,
and that's like makes
but
me
maybe
think
it's
about
healthier for you. I don't know.
a lot of THC beverages are being made now, but are those going to be consumed in the same way that we drink beers? Like, most of them are like 5 to 10 milligrams per 12-ounce
I'm
serving.
starting to see threes. A lot of threes.
Even that though, like, that's probably enough for me. One's enough,
Yeah.
Whereas the point of like hanging out and drinking beers is having a few of them.
right. Yeah,
so
you're
I don't
not gonna
know.
like hang and like just like session 3 milligram THC. First of all, why wouldn't you just like go smoke a bowl? Why wouldn't you just do that?
Yeah, I don't know. Like,
Or a vape pen. Like so it doesn't need to be. You don't
Right.
need to have the you know the fire and the tar and whatever.
Yeah,
But,
when I see a lot of breweries pivoting to doing those THC drinks, to me it seems like more of a thing to do with your capacity than it is a demand in the market for drinkable THC. Like we've been smoking, eating, and vaping THC for so long.
Yeah.
I don't feel like anyone's like, you know what, that's great and all, but I really want to sip it.
right. People buy them here. I mean, people buy them, but they're not like. We certainly are getting sold on them more than we have interest in buying them.
Yeah, I think this is also a similar conversation of like me saying I like a LaCroix more than I really want to drink a hop water or a non-alcoholic beer, where I'm like, well, if I'm going to get high, I'm just going to smoke the weed and then drink a sparkling water. I don't think I want to do both at the same, like I don't need them both in the same thing.
Yeah, I do think. But here's something that we haven't talked about. Was his first point
Oh, yeah.
was it's not cool.
Yeah.
Now that's something that we have not talked about a lot. Is that it's not cool. The marketing and ethos is inextricably tied to the cultural and aesthetic tastes of older drinkers, particularly millennials and Gen Z.
Which
And
Gen
it's
X-
almost
Gen X.
cringy. It's almost
Gen X.
cringy to go to a brewery.
I mean, if you think
Gen
about
X, sorry.
So think about like breweries that exist out there. How many breweries were there coming into like 2010? Maybe 1,500, 2,000? And then in like
Yeah.
a 10-year span, we're up to 10,000. So 80% of the breweries out there were probably built by somebody who is either a millennial or Gen X. So it makes sense that a lot of them are going to like reflect the sort of aesthetic tastes of those generations. I think it's a matter of tapping into either, I don't know, employees, or maybe it just will take time for people of younger generations to start their own things
Yeah. And
for that to be more reflective of younger aesthetic tastes. But I agree. It's like when I think about what's going on at most breweries, it's like, yeah, I can kind of see how that kind of like appeals to people that are of my generation. And I'm not the young generation anymore.
Well, I just genuinely don't know what does appeal to Gen X aesthetically like that? Like what can you actually like make in a physical space that appeals to Gen Z? Like what do they want? Like what? And like I get what's uncool about. I guess I don't get what's uncool about taproom so much, but like, what would a Gen Z craft brewery look like? Other than like a more diverse group of people working at it and inhabiting it.
There's
like
some pretty diverse tap rooms here in Chicago.
Sure, but like what? I don't even know what it would look like.
I don't either, but I do know that I've always felt that the branding of craft beer and also the tap rooms have been less so the tap rooms, honestly. Like back in the day, you go to them like, okay, this is a place of production and whatever. The branding and the naming and stuff like that has always been cringe to me.
Like what?
Like the crappy names. I mean, let's talk like
the
a
puns
classic,
and
like
stuff?
Founders.
Yeah.
What's it called? Dirty
Old
Bastard.
Dirty Bastard.
Dirty bastard.
Dirty
Oh,
Bastard.
just Dirty Bastard. Old Dirty
Or
Bastard's the rapper.
You know, like
Shimmy, shimmy,
so many of those. Or like the Shoots Freshly Squeezed. Good beer. Or let's look at even like the Bells, like Kalamazoo Stout, or like so much stuff. It's like, or the Amber Ale, or stuff like that. It's like, meh. Like that's like I've grown to kind of love those.
Those are like boomer even.
Fine, but like all of it never resonated as cool to me.
That's you as Gen X talking about boomers naming stuff.
I'm just saying,
you're
beer.
millennial.
Me coming into it, and me even now, I think like labels and branding for the majority of beer, and I mean like 80 to 90% of it sucks. I mean, is bad.
Yeah.
And lame, and I now have just seen so much of it for so long that I'm blind to it.
I think it was also like for the last probably 10 years, you could put pretty minimal effort into your branding and design and get a lot of compliments for it. Like, oh, I love the labels. They're so colorful. It's like, if you heard that and you're like, that's good. That's not good. Colors?
Right.
That's the only reason that someone liked your labels? Or like, oh,
Right.
I love that cartoon, and like, or like, there's so much bad aesthetics out there.
Right. And then you got like something like a Kari Shogun from Half Acre, and it would just blow everything out of the water.
Right.
Like, now that is cool.
Yeah.
That is cool. It's so cool. I want to buy it because that label is so awesome.
I also think that I've become blind to most of those types of breweries. Like, I just don't even see them anymore.
Right.
Like, I don't even think about them.
Right.
Like, the places that I think about are like Middlebrow, which is probably one of the closest ones to being like a very Gen Z
Yes.
like feeling like company and like
Right.
branding. They also make natural wine. Like, I think about Keeping Together. Like, I think about more things like that than like Three Floyds or the Three Floyds offshoot. Like, we're gonna just do metal stuff. Like, I don't even notice those breweries anymore. And I wonder if that's a lot of what
I thought their branding
Josh was talking
lame.
about.
I mean, I always thought that their stuff was lame. I thought Gumball Head was kind of cool. But other than that, I thought it was pretty much universally lame. And I'm trying to think. I'm sure there's examples of that.
I mean, Zombie does. Don't.
Well, I know that's a you thing, though. But yeah, like, I thought it was
Yeah, I mean,
lame.
And I think that
Robert Bruce, lame.
most
Alpha
breweries are
King,
either
lame.
pun driven or just like
Not the names, by
A
the way.
lot of puns. A lot of puns.
and it's just so lazy. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I agree with Joshua about a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
And that it was like people that, when the rising tide lifted all boats, didn't put that much effort into it and got rewarded for the branding they came up with.
Yeah.
And then never really thought about what the brand actually was,
Or maybe
because they were
didn't need
making
it. I mean, they were rewarded not for the branding, but it
positive
didn't
cash
hurt them.
flow hides all wounds.
Maybe that. Yeah.
And so, like, you never think about. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Pat. Go ahead.
I was going to say another piece to that is that I think when you have like a few people doing it, it's kind of like novel and fun, and like that's kind of part of their brand. And then with the proliferation of just so many breweries and a lot of newer breweries being like, well, that's kind of how you make a beer brand. It like something that once you'd be like, oh, that's a funny pun. And like,
Right.
I haven't seen another beer that has a funny pun in it to where it's like 50% of the beers are stupid puns. Like,
Right.
then it becomes lame. It's, I think part of it is an appeal to like a older generation, the generation that created it, our generations.
Mm-hmm.
But part of it is just that it's like there's so much of the same. And I think it, like, regardless of time, like, it's hard to define cool, but when you look at things that people consider cool at any point in time, I think novelty is almost always a piece of it. And so much of like craft beer culture right now is not novel. It's like plaid and beards and dad puns.
Right. And so much of craft beer was us being like, this is so authentic. What we're doing is very authentic. And then when you look at like all these brands are very, very similar, it's like, how authentic can this really be to who you are? It can be authentic to what you think a brewery is, but it's not authentic to who the individuals that are making this beer are. At least it doesn't feel like it should be. Like
you don't think it should feel like that?
No, it doesn't feel like it's actually authentic to, like, how do all of you have the same aesthetics? You know, how do 9,000 of the 10,000 breweries have like aesthetics that fall within like a pretty sizable chunk of the bell curve? You know, it's like, I guess that's how bell curves work.
Like,
but.
if you go to places, like I was in places in Philly, and I went out to dinner, and there was definitely an aesthetic. It wasn't I think it was an Italian place or something, but like everyone looked pretty much the same there. They all had like, you know, jeans or slacks, a blue button-down
you're
shirt,
just talking about
short
how
hair.
You're talking about how
Like, they all
people
look
across the
same.
entire population dress, though. But like, people that are supposedly creative enough to quit their jobs to start a brand making something, it's hard for me to believe that the aesthetic that you would really want to put into that is so similar. Like, I don't know how to describe this, but it just seems weird.
Well, maybe they're not interested in the aesthetics like that. They're interested
Yeah,
in
I
making
think-
the beer.
Sure.
I think to the point that you guys were kind of touching on earlier, I do think that as a lot of these breweries were being born, and I know that this is very much how I thought about beer when I was a beer drinker in my 20s. It's like it was about the liquid. It wasn't about the
Right.
It wasn't so much about the branding. And like it's one of those things where I remember thinking like negatively about people would be like, oh yeah, I grabbed this wine because like it had a cool label. And it's like, no, it's got to be about the liquid. But like a bit older, I'm like, no, every piece of that experience
Right.
is part of the like what makes a person purchase and enjoy a beverage or any sort of experience. And so if you like see a cool label and you're like, I picked this up just because I liked the way it looked, that's totally valid and something that I think a lot of breweries weren't focused on during this kind of boom period where like you could put decent-ish liquid in a can that didn't look like crap and sell it.
Yeah.
Like that's what the 2010s were.
And the reality is that no one tries anything for the first time because of what the actual merit of the thing of the liquid is. You try it for the first time because either someone told you about it, or you read about it, or you looked at it and you liked the way it looked. Like no one, because it's impossible to buy something for the value of the liquid if you've never had it before. You know what I mean? So like presenting things to people in an aesthetically interesting way is a huge tool that I think a lot of people thought they were doing really well, but I mean, maybe they were doing it well just for one generation of people.
Well, I want to say thank you very much to Joshua for the long letter. It got us talking.
Mm-hmm.
That was awesome. I appreciate it. And to anyone out there,
If you have any other
Gen Z,
let us
Boomers,
know.
Greatest Generation. I want some Greatest Generation emails.
Yeah, we want to go the opposite direction.
Get your grandson to Skype it to our inbox and
How about a typewriter letter? I think that's what you should.
we've gotten them. We've gotten at least
impressive.
2. Yeah. So yeah, that's awesome. Do you want to just keep plowing ahead, or
It's up to you.
okay? Well, up next is the all the news that's happening, which, as you correctly identified earlier,
Is good.
is all good.
Yeah.
So in the last week and a half, some stuff that kind of touches the Chicago market, but I think is indicative of things abroad. So we had Fair State out of Minneapolis filed for Chapter 11. I'm going to sneeze.
Bless you.
Bless you.
Thank you. And then the beer seller, friend of the show, Dave Hawley's been on the show before. His location in Geneva announced that it's closing, I think, at the end of this month, I believe, or next month.
I think, end of this month. I think it might be their last day happened.
Okay, already, yeah. So,
They still have their main store in Glen Ellen, but their
sure.
satellite location in Geneva is closed.
Sure. And then the one that was the biggest for me personally, kicking the balls, and no offense to the people of those other 2 establishments. I have friends at both places. Oath, we had Aaron Tyrell on the show in the past, talking about small independent distributors. And they have, looks like, are in the process of, I don't know. I mean, the language I saw from someone from that company was dissolved and being acquired by MSV, another distributor. And that has a lot of people upset, worried, pissed off. And it I wanted to talk about all of them, I guess, broadly, but specifically like how precarious something like a small distributor going fast, and it was literally to the point where they were saying, nope, nothing's happening, nothing to see here, and then the next morning, we sold. It's like, which whatever. I would think for somebody, for the two of you, Pat and Mike, who have small breweries, who, if you did go through distro, would have a better than most brewery chance of going with a small independent boutique, I'll say, distributor. For them to just like go under, distributors don't just like go under. There's been a big acquisition that's happened, and a couple of them, I guess, in Chicago. But I guess technically this is an acquisition too. But it worries me because for us, it could mean, obviously if Fair State pulls out of the state as a result, and they've got their own. Fair State is with Oath, I should mention that as well. So double kicking the nuts for them.
Yeah.
And Lime Ventures, the old Shelton book.
Mm-hmm.
So if they pull out, which I think is a bordering on likely, certainly possible. Think what that means for this market. No Cantillon, so no Zwanzi. We announced that we got Zwanzi, so that goes away. No De La Seine, no Coniston, no Blaugy, no,
Oberon.
Yeah, Oberon, no Thierry, Dree, a lot of stuff just gone. And these are the small, independent, artisanal makers. Maybe they're not all artisanal, but they're all authentic and craft. We just don't get them. And now for me personally, and as a business person, I become much less interesting potentially to a consumer.
Sure.
Because it's, a big portion of what we have, we can't get anymore.
Right.
So, I found out about it as I was landing in Philadelphia. I think I was in the plane when it was like my signal came back and I was like, ding, 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 ding. I was like, oh my God. Really, really sucked. And I realized that, breweries can go under, stores can go under, but like distributors start going under, and it can really alter a landscape, especially for the ones who are like doing the sort of stuff that we're doing with keeping together was and the Beer Temple. It can have a huge impact, literally overnight.
Yeah.
And scared me. Yeah, definitely scared me. Where I was like, oh boy, what if Heartland were to go under?
Yeah, I think it's like a signal that like even at a small level, beer sales are so much more volume driven in their economics than wine is, because there are dozens of small wine distributors in Chicago, many that are like import a very small book, and all they do is sell wines from maybe 4 or 5 producers.
Yeah,
but that doesn't seem to work for beers. Like the margin, I guess, is not there. You're also like selling, 4 packs of cans instead of like bottles, hundreds of dollars of bottles.
Yeah, and I think the other piece there too is that like wholesale is entirely a markup game. You make all of your potential profit on basically marking up what you buy from suppliers, and so volume is critical. And I would imagine that like being a small wholesaler, a boutique wholesaler, without kind of like a big brand to help achieve some sort of pull through would be just like financially really, really challenging. I don't know. I've never worked in wholesale, but like, I think I reflect on like 10 years ago, I had a lot of friends that worked at artisanal imports, importing, not the same as wholesaling, but still. And, you know, I know that they had all of these like cool little boutique brands, and then they were able to buoy those by having some kind of like larger import brands that, you know, helped make up volume and helped keep revenue flowing in. So in prep for this, I looked at Oath's book, and like there wasn't anything in there, I feel like, did they have like a big volume
I don't think so.
No,
brand?
I guess.
Fair State might have been the big
Fair
one.
State was probably what they were trying to get there with. And after that, it was some ciders, and I mean, after Fair State and Lime, I don't know who they have, like Farnham Hill cider, like great cider,
Yeah.
awesome cider, but like
Still cider.
ain't and a very expensive, very high end cider.
Right.
Very good cider, but
yeah.
actually used to be in the artisanal bit.
Right.
I don't know. I feel like small, like boutique wholesaling it would have to be a very, very challenging business for that reason. And I feel like they would be a lot more sensitive to changes in consumption. You know, if the amount of beer sold goes down a little bit, especially on some of these boutique brands, that's going to hurt them tremendously. So I don't know. It is scary when I think about, like, you know, we definitely want to be sending KT to Chicago once we're producing beer.
I would have recommended Oath.
Yeah.
If you had said, hey, who should we be talking to? I said, well, talk to Oath for sure. After that, talk to XYZ.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it is worrying to not even like, and that's in a city as big as Chicago,
Right.
where I feel like Chicago's a good beer drinking city too. I feel like Chicago, if of all places, should be able to support a small boutique wholesaler, even though it is a challenging business from what I understand.
So who is left as a small boutique wholesaler in Chicago? Was it just Maca and Heartland?
Maca, Heartland, and Heartland's book is getting, you know, pretty filled out. And you do have MSV, but there's a lot of people who we don't have to get into it, but will not work with MSV.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to count them for now. I won't even count MSV. They do have some brands. They definitely have some brands.
That's who
there.
bought Oath.
Yes. I'm curious in 6 months how many of those brands are still going to be with MSV.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and the other thing is these brands, if there is like a buyout that would be needed, who knows? Like for those out there, you know, it's a not Tide, I almost said Tide House. It's a franchise.
Franchise.
Yeah. So you got them. You know, you got them for life, and I think there are clauses that when there is a acquisition or something like that, some things can be triggered, but I don't obviously know the ins and outs of each individual contract. But, you know, these breweries or importers could be now tied to MSV, and what they'll do then is just say, well, I don't have to send them any beer. We just won't be in Chicago now, which hurts them, which hurts us. Because they don't have money to buy out their contracts. Yeah, and it sucks. I mean, and even for me, like very personally, like Swansea Day was going to be something that I was like super proud of. Was putting a lot of effort behind. Going to put a lot of resources behind. It was going to be a good day for us. Gone. You know, just like
Is that for sure?
It's not for sure. It's not for sure. But I'm talking to MSV, and we're saying, like, let's don't start renting tents yet. Like, you know, don't start laying any money out. Don't make any big announcements yet. So we'll see. And we're working to make sure that doesn't happen. And, I'm probably saying things way, 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 way earlier than I should be, but that's kind of what I do here. But it's nothing that I'm not breaching any kind of confidentiality by saying this sort of stuff. But yeah. It's a bummer.
This is like the second distributor that had the Shelton book or the Lime book that has gone out of business. Is that
The third, if you include Shelton.
Yeah.
Well, Shelton went out of business.
right?
Vavrix went out of business. Oath went out of business. MSV had them before, and they literally just. Well, I think they had them when they went under.
Yeah.
But I don't know how much they were sending to him at that point.
I didn't see it.
And then River North before that was acquired.
Right.
So, yeah, who the hell knows?
It's a tough game.
Tough game. But those beers are, I think, important to have.
And I think so much of the things that would have stabilized businesses like that have kind of gone away because of self-distribution. Like, and I obviously I like self-distribution. I self-distribute, but if a brewery like Pipeworks or something had to go through a distributor and they wanted to be with an artisanal distributor when they started up, it would have been helpful to a place like that to have a brand like that.
Yeah, you
or like
have
Hop
to.
Butcher is self-distributed. If Oath had Hop Butcher, it probably would be a different story.
Yeah.
But then you have to think, would a brewery that's going to get that big go with a boutique distributor like that in their home market? Who knows?
Would Hop Butcher have been able to grow the way they have if they were selling through a distributor?
Right. But maybe not.
Yeah.
But it seems an impossible task to have a boutique distributor in Chicago these days.
Well,
at least anything other than just like
Heartland and Maca have been doing it for a little while. I mean, Maca's, very, very little.
Right. Well, but Maca also is a lot of like hot drops or whatever, right? Splash drops mostly is what they're doing. They have a few regular brands, but most of it is in and out, like hot items.
Yeah, but they're doing Forest and Main.
Was Oath
through
doing
Maca?
Was Oath doing any? Well, they're kind of the only.
Beechwood is through, but these are drops,
right?
You know?
Was Oath doing any like hot drop stuff like that, or they were more?
They did the Fatheads with me.
That's the only one though.
They did
like
Hill Farmstead for our 10 year and for the
Who
half
did
acre thing.
Remind me, who did Fast Fashion when we did the collab?
I think that was Maca, I believe.
So he has a completely
But I don't know.
different model, it seems like, where it's like it's based on just those hot drops.
Just
and then
keeping cash flow going.
If there's another one, then fine. If there's something that's more consistent, then it will work with that. But I just want to keep it moving, which might be a smarter way to do it until something arises naturally that is like a money maker on a regular basis.
Sure.
Than to try to do it the old school way.
Yeah, it's a shame. I mean, I really felt that Oath was starting to get some, get its sea legs and was and was like had good reps and had people who were coming in regularly and we had regular drops and the product was fresh and I think they were learning. I think Lime Ventures has learned a lot from the mistakes of Shelton. I mean, I think they cut the fat from that book a lot.
Yeah.
And I think the stuff was coming in much, much better shape than it used to with Shelton, where there would be stuff that just like I would not touch because I did not trust how.
And sitting in a warehouse in Connecticut.
Yeah, like I wouldn't buy Conistons.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know, unless I saw like literal depletion numbers.
Right.
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 And then if you bring it in and then reject it, then that's sitting on the distributor. And then they have to try to sell it back to the importer. It becomes a whole mess.
Is there a model for like boutique distributors that we think would work, or is it just kind of this doomed thing?
I don't want it to be doomed, so I will say no, just because I don't want it to be. But I don't know.
But
I mean, the other question that I would have is like that I don't know if anybody here has any visibility into, but like, who else are those distributors selling into? Like, it's awesome that they're coming to Beer Temple, and it makes sense that they're coming to Beer Temple, but like, to the point of the beer seller closing one of their locations, like maybe there's less demand for off-premise boutique beer, or on and off-premise boutique beer. And if that's the case, that makes it hard for a business to make their money selling boutique beer.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's a very good, very valid point, because I was going back to Joshua's letter, I do think that a lot of the other beer boutique shops just do stuff very differently than we do. And I think they are, in the suburbs, I've talked about it here, like it frightens me because they're all about, selling singles. Like, you can buy a 4-pack, but the culture is you buy one beer because then you've had it. Why would you have 2 beers? Why would you have 2 of it? You only need one to have had it, and then you've had it. So get another one and have that one. Right. Like, that seems to be the culture out there, which ain't the culture of some of like what Lime Venture is doing.
That's an Ouroboros too. That's like breweries putting out so many beers and making it like you got to try all of them. People are like, well, I don't want to drink 4 of them.
Well, that's what I was saying with the earlier when we were talking about the letter. I started getting into it, but I think breweries have not done themselves any long-term favors by creating that culture,
right?
Where it's it's a different type of hobby. It's a collecting hobby, not a experiential hobby,
appreciation hobby.
Yeah. It's a ticking hobby, and then you can just start ticking something else very easy. I don't know, Pat. I mean, it's a very fair question. How much were these people selling elsewhere? I mean, it's not like we're doing $1 million in Lime Venture sales, and we got Swansea, which means we were probably up there as their biggest customers and biggest accounts in the market. So I don't know. Do they have a gajillion, accounts? I don't know if Oath can hit a gajillion accounts.
I don't think they have a gajillion accounts.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, I don't think that they do, and one of the reasons that you could say they don't is Oath can't hit that many spots. They're small.
Right. Great news.
Yeah, good news. I guess that letter was the highlight of the
show. The high point, at least.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about Fair State or anything?
Yeah, we can talk about them. They filed for Chapter 11. Mm-hmm. Looks like they got some debt that they need to restructure.
Right.
A lot of debt.
Yeah.
And
they're like a co-op, so I'm sure there was some interesting technical aspects of filing for Chapter 11 as a co-op rather than like an LLC or something.
Yes.
Is the co-op an LLC that's like owned by? I don't even know how that works.
I don't know
legally.
What the structure would be, like the corporate
like an
structure
S-corp,
would be.
probably.
I don't know.
Anyway,
I mentioned it to Avery earlier today, and she was like, "How does that work with the co-op?" Is like, no idea, got nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
We need to phone in Banker Dan. Dan.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Who knows? So yeah, they're not in a good spot. They certainly could go under. It would be a bummer. I would say they of any of the breweries that have come in from out of market have been the ones who have done it better than most and kind of had an organic feel to it and wanted to feel like they were in this market to stay and wanted to be part of the market, had reps going around, going to accounts,
how much of the
engaging.
How much of the Oath thing do you think has to do with the fact that this brewery that they thought was going to be one of their larger, consistent breweries filed for bankruptcy? There's probably not,
That's an interesting question. I would have thought none. Stuff would have had to have worked really fast for that to have happened. It might have helped like pull the trigger, I guess.
I'm sure there's a trend regardless, but
yeah.
I mean, the question there is, was this like a dissolution and then a sale to kind of like clean up the pieces, or was this a sale that had been in the works for some time? Because if it was a sale, like if it was an outright sale, that's at least months to maybe half a year minimum, I would say, that it's been in the works.
Yeah, I would say it might
Speculation.
have been maybe a couple months. Who knows? Maybe half a year. But yeah, I mean, I think they probably had some cash flow issues, and yeah, the Fair State thing might not have helped by any means, but it was happening in a very odd way. Like kegs started showing up with MSV on them. We're like, what's that about?
from Fair State?
Yeah, and lime. Yeah, they started coming in. And it was like, well, they changed warehouses. Now they're with Cold Solutions, which is where MSV is. And then maybe they don't have them in the system, and that was just the sticker they put on the keg for the logistic purposes. Yeah, right?
That sounds like it's been in the works for a long time.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the owner of MSV was going around, and one of the reps for MSV was going around saying that they're acquiring Oath. And then the Oath reps were like, huh? What? Who says?
Oh, boy.
Oh, yeah. Now we're getting into the dirt.
Yeah,
But it was all true.
That's messy.
And this was all pretty public if you were in the industry.
Yeah.
I mean, people were sitting at my bar saying this to whoever was listening. So,
And this is the Insiders Roundtable after all. So.
This is the Insiders Roundtable. So if you don't want this stuff out, maybe not. I almost said something personally very true, but true, harsh, that warranted. But yeah, I mean, there was a lot of no, and then it happened all of a sudden. So I think that also is just kind of like hurting people too. So, you know, whatever. That in the grand scheme of things doesn't really matter. I think it's about what happens with these brands, what happens to this market, and for the breweries that are out there that are saying, "Oh, thank God, less competition." I mean, Lime Ventures is not competing with these places. I don't think. I mean, I'm just gonna
like local breweries,
maybe other importers. But,
yeah.
I mean, maybe someone like Iswas would be an exception. Maybe.
Sure, but
not really.
I still would rather have those beers here.
Right, exactly.
Like, I think that having those beers here probably makes me sell more beer over a long
I would think so, too. I really think so, too. I think it makes for a healthier market when you have these world-class examples of beer. And it's been happening for a while where these are going away, and it was starting to get better with things like Lime Venture.
Yeah, I mean, when I started was part of the reason was like, I don't know if any of that stuff's ever coming back to the Chicago market, and
right.
I want to drink it. So,
right,
we're back to that.
Yeah,
we've come full circle on that one in 5 years. So,
right. Is there anything we want to talk about more about this, or is there any other topics that we want to hit on before we call it an evening?
One thing I will say is that, and I say this in part because I feel like the last two shows that I've been on, we talked about bankruptcies.
Yes.
Is that like a lot of the news feels very doom and gloomy. Mm-hmm. And especially as somebody who's like working on opening a brewery, that can be scary. But one of the things too that I think is important to keep in mind is that like we did go through this incredible boom cycle in the 2010s, and people were like asking the question for years. They're like, when's the bottom going to drop? Like, it's just not gonna, like, it just keeps getting better. And I think like, rather than this being like a signal of an industry in decline, I think it's a we kind of overgrew, and this is kind of a little bit of a pendulum swing. There's like it's part of this industry maturing.
Right.
I'd like to think.
I think it's a direct result of these massive 9 and 10 figure buyouts.
Sure.
I think that's what it was. Then it was like, oh my God, I can become generationally wealthy if that's me. And I don't even need to become generationally wealthy, but it's got a 0% fail rate. So let's do it. Banks are giving money. Let's go. Let's
Right.
go. Let's go.
It's a combination of that and the fact that those, billion-dollar purchases of breweries clogged up a lot of space that
Yes.
middle-sized craft
long
breweries
tail.
could have been in.
The long tail.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's when we go back. That's when you and I think, are very much in agreement when we say Big Beer won.
Yeah.
Because that's what they did.
Right.
They clogged up. They clogged up the running lanes
Right.
for growth.
Right.
And it worked. It worked. They are very smart. They saw their distributors going out and acquiring craft brands because they felt like they needed to. They put a hold to that by acquiring their own and say, now you don't need to bring on craft brands. Just carry our craft brands. And it worked.
Yeah, it did.
It worked. At the same time, it was just an explosion of thousands of new breweries coming on every year.
Right. Money was cheap.
Right. With no potential to grow. And it was being said at the time, how many times have we said, had you heard, Pat, like in the late 1800s, there was this many breweries for every amount of people. That means there was one in every single neighborhood, and we could get there again. And I would
Before
be like, yeah.
refrigeration
And
or
they're
the
gonna,
train.
right. And it's like, yeah, and they're going to be like these just tiny little, there's going to be bars.
Right.
They're going to be
None
bars.
of those breweries were distributing.
Right.
Right.
And that's, to some extent, that's the model that we're kind of adopting. It's like,
Right.
we're going to distribute very little beer because
Right.
it's tough for a number of the reasons we've talked about tonight.
Yeah, and volatile, I think, for someone, as we're saying,
Totally.
who's little, and
Totally.
and isn't going to be. I mean, they could be a priority in the hearts of the people there, and
Right.
but it's not going to be someone who can lead the charge and kind of help offset stuff for other breweries, and then you're just. Yeah, you have to form a collective like Lime is with these small international breweries that kind of give them their goodwill to kind of do what's in their best interest for the U.S. market and kind of come together that way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe is that the return? Do we go back to someone like an early, like what 12% used to do? Maybe still does. I don't know. Where it's like they're kind of doing the import model, but for
Brokering kind of.
yeah, but then price goes up.
Right.
It's another tier that you're adding. Are people? I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
I think we're so stuck on beer should be, and obviously we're not fully there anymore. Beer should be cheap. That's never going to be that big of a model. Putting that extra layer in there is just going to make it. There's only a handful of brands that will, or styles of beer that will demand that and get that extra cost on top of it that people will pay for.
Yeah.
So that's part of the thing that I was talking about with
Self-distro,
wine.
baby.
Is that,
Yeah.
talking about with wine is that like small little wine distributors can survive with 5, 7 wineries because they're selling $20, $70, $80 bottles at wholesale.
Right.
And they can sell them one at a time, put them at like fancy restaurants that have, hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not more, in wine inventory.
Yep.
It just doesn't exist for beer.
Lasts for years.
And I think at this point, it never will.
Nah.
So
I don't see it happening like that.
I mean, maybe there's a couple breweries like keeping together that has the cachet to have some beer in the Alinea wine cellar or something like that, but it's not going to be a huge market,
Nah, man.
There's not going to be enough for a
it ain't
distributor
happening.
to be like enough of those brands for a distributor to be like, that's how we operate the same way like a small wine distributor operates.
it's such a tiny fraction of breweries that will have that it's foolish to make that even part of your model for keeping keeping the lights on. You
Right.
know, like, I mean, even as it being like part of your marketing is taking a huge risk. Like, we're going to be in all these fancy places because our stuff's great, and I know Grant Achatz is my best friend. Stuff like that.
That's cool.
Yeah, you didn't know that?
Good for you.
Yeah. He doesn't know it.
He doesn't know.
Yeah, he doesn't know me.
Yeah. He's your best friend, but you're not his best friend.
Yes,
Yeah.
he's my best friend. That's what I said.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he's my best friend.
Yeah. That's what I heard.
Yeah, after we're done, I'm gonna go and pick through his trash again.
It's expensive trash. I was watching a movie recently and Charlie
No, it was
Trotter
house
was
trash.
in it. Oh, it was house trash.
Yeah. I'm not gonna bother him at work.
That's very cool of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Thoughtful. Yeah.
Yeah, thoughtful.
Yeah. Anyway, before we start getting in legal trouble for stalking Michelin-starred chefs, anything else you want to say, Chris?
Miles tastes good. Maybe help me drink some mild March 8th, 9th, and 10th. If you can't, have a mild somewhere, as long as that somewhere ain't Ambler, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. You should go there too. No, I don't really have anything to say. We've got a lot of fun events. I do think that the events that we've been coming up with for the past 2-3 months have been some of the more fun and creative events that we've done. So I feel like we do have a bit of an energy to it now. I hope, I was relying on people like Oath to help kind of make some of this stuff happen. So, we'll have to, pivot and figure out some other stuff. But, yeah, I don't have anything else to say other than that. I don't feel so great. I think I'm going to go home and go to sleep after that. But, yeah, but I'm missing Mr. Pat Fahey, the Master Crusher-Own, not being here. It's a bummer.
I miss Chicago, man.
Yeah.
I got to get back. I'm overdue for a visit.
Maybe in March.
Yeah. March mildness. Or you can't go to Come Up for Swansea because you're going to be in Vegas, you said? At the Bellagio for a high-stakes, Baccarat game or something?
A high-stakes craft brewers conference.
Yeah, exactly.
I think this is the first time that they've done CBC in Las Vegas, and it should be interesting. I know some people love that town. It's not so much my town.
I've never been. I don't really care to.
I would, I'd really, really need to go to CBC for me to go in Vegas.
Yeah.
And part of it being you can just go to the conference and then, whatever. But
Not you, baby. Not with that gambling addiction you have.
The shit showery of what's going to happen there.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
Some of it'll be ugly, I'm sure. Part of it, for me, is just, and especially now being a little bit more removed. I mean, we're out here in a small town in the desert. It's just such a good opportunity to go see all of these relationships that we have, since so many people from the U.S. and internationally kind of descend on wherever CBC is. That it's kind of hard to pass up, but it will be. Shit showery is a good word.
Yeah.
For I'll be sure to provide a recap.
I mean, it always
is,
isn't it? And then add on top of that 24-hour casinos and.
Oh, it's going to be ugly.
Whorehouses.
I hope somebody puts their brewery on red. That's all I want to see.
I think you'll be seeing a lot of that. I think.
Yeah.
Payroll's on red right now.
Oh boy. Ugh.
The FedEx story.
Oh no. Really?
The first time they were going to miss payroll, they brought it to a casino, put it on black, won.
Oh my God.
And the rest is history.
Jesus Christ. That's terrifying.
That is terrifying.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Take out a line of credit.
Yeah. Right.
Why? When you can just gamble it, why?
Right.
Yeah.
It's investing.
Yeah, right.
It's investing.
you can just do it from your pocket now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's what I said when I'm investing.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm investing in DraftKings.
The Beer Temple payroll is on Villanova game.
Yeah. I invest in parlays.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
12-leg parlays
Yeah.
to make sure we can get everyone paid.
Yeah. Exactly.
They don't listen to this show, right? The people that work here.
Who knows? Well, thank you, Pat.
Yeah, thank you, Pat.
It was fun seeing you, even virtually. Please say hi to Avery. She'll be on in not too long, so we'll have her on as a guest sooner than later. And yeah, we'll next week. I don't know what we're going to do next week. We might have to take a break next week because we're going to do one thing. It might get delayed, so might be a week or two till you hear from us. You won't know because it takes me forever to get these things out anyway. So saying that, thanks everyone, and we'll see you next time. So long.
Remember this is what we wanted. Remember this is what we said. To never be heard or seen from again. Remember this is what we wanted. Remember this is what we said. To never be heard or seen from again.